Oh, Chris, you know what time it is, right?
Nah, I'm not sure, man.
It's time for the Collective Games Cast, episode 29.
Oh, yeah. My bad.
Yeah,
My
we
bad.
got we got a little breakdown today. Final Fantasy 15 uncovered. Uh, I, as always, am your host, the Malgadar. That's my name right there, at the Malgadar on Twitter.
Nice,
The
nice.
guy over there, that is one at Chris BCGC on Twitter. He'll be helping me break this thing down today.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I'll. Oh, you know what? Before we start, real quick, the podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, just search Collective Gamescast. We always like when we get more podcast pops. We love being over here on Twitch.tv, but get us some podcast pops too. That shit helps. You know.
Does helps a lot.
Yeah. Um, we've been doing better on iTunes. We're moving on up. So, keep grinding, man. Keep grinding. Only 29 episodes into this adventure, so yeah. Uh, so I guess I'll start off by just getting to you. Like, what have you been up to this week, man?
This week, let's
That's
see. It's been a weird week, you know. I started off strong with WoW. Like I was going in hours, like Sunday, Monday, and then after that, I played nothing. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, absolutely no games. Um, just watching some Netflix and relaxing. Can't do much when you're working. And then I played Final Fantasy 8 today, and a little bit yesterday, and enjoyed myself.
so you got
Getting
like
back into it.
the RPG buzz going hard then.
Yeah, I kind of at first I didn't want anything that was going to take a lot of time, because things that you play so many games that have the whole open world long term thing, the bunch of side stuff to do, and you just kind of got tired of it for a minute, and now you want to get back into it.
That's where you need some of them like little quick hitters, like Rocket League or something, to kind of just break it up.
I haven't played that in a while. I might have to boot that up today.
Yeah, I don't know. I was looking at it last night, almost did it, and then you know, didn't.
Dude, it,
But
it
it's always
pops up.
sitting there asking me, like, "Yo, come hang out, man."
Yeah, like I'll scroll through my Steam library and it'll be like Rocket League. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
nah, not right now.
yeah. It's always there though, and good for that shake up.
I think it's the frustration I get because when I start playing, I'm like, oh, this is fun. This is fun. Then you get down by like 2 goals and you're like, motherfucker. God damn it.
Yeah, losing in that game is never fun.
Nah, especially when it's by that one goal, man.
Yeah,
But it's good time. It's good time.
yeah. Um, so you got past your WoW withdrawal because last week you were talking about how you had all these like withdrawal feelings, like
I
not
kept
playing a
thinking
lot.
about
Yeah,
it.
man. Well, I'm glad to see you got the cure.
Yeah. Played with some
Need
friends
more
last
WoW.
night. I think it's best, maybe an hour here and there on the weekend or in the weekday, and then on the weekends, cram cram a few hour sessions with some friends.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
man. Gaming is always better with friends, unless you're me and then you just want to be left the fuck alone. Like.
It depends on the game, man.
Nah, it does.
Yeah.
Different games.
Yep. Even some games, even if there is a multiplayer aspect, I'm just like, I kind of just want to play it by myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm back and forth. Depends. I love my co-op stuff, but I got to be in the mood to move at other people's pace. Like,
That's the thing. I always, yeah. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up.
well, because
Not,
everybody moves at a little different speed. People check
yeah.
inventories, stuff like that. Like when you play
I'm
by
I'm
yourself, it's just at the pace you want to go.
yeah, I'm a little slower when it comes to games because I guess I read slower than most. I've never read fast, but I'm not like dead slow. So like I'm reading, understanding. All right, well if I move this around over here, so I can do that by myself. And then when I'm playing with people, it's like fuck, gotta rush, and then I end up deleting shit that I shouldn't have deleted or selling things I shouldn't have sold. Or it's like, damn it,
Yeah.
man, you guys are going too fast.
Well, see
I
that
need a few things.
that was like what was cool. Like last week when we were playing Borderlands, the pre-sequel, me, you, and
Yep.
Matt. Because it was kind of like we had that open communication. Like, yo, hang on. got a couple things I want to get finished up here in town before we, roll out on the next set of side missions.
Till I got tired. Till I got tired, it was less communication and more. Chris, are you still in the menu? Oh yeah.
Well, you're still communicating more than Matt when he disappeared for an hour and we just drug him along. So,
Very
there's
true.
that.
Very true.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you got your WoW, you got your FF8. We're talking about doing an FF8 episode soon. Maybe next week, maybe a little further in the future, but we got a lot to talk about with that game. We already did FF7, the big breakdown on that, And I would gladly do another FF7 episode if it came to it, because there's, I could talk about that game all day, as evidenced by the fact that podcast was over 2 hours. So, and we we talked about one game for 2 hours, like that. That'll tell you.
That was our longest episode, and we had the most people on that one.
Yeah. Episode 1 actually, I think, is still tracking better than that. Which is funny because that's by far our worst episode, and yet everybody checked that one out. So go figure.
Oh, there's boobs. That's why.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I used that image of Quiet's lady parts, didn't I? Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go then. Yeah.
Oh, I think your icon in the beginning too was that Dead or Alive? No, that was Final Fantasy X, wasn't it?
I used a couple things until I got my artwork commissioned. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so me this week, Borderlands pre-sequel.
Yep.
That was it. I am just setting the whole world on ice. That doesn't sound right. I'm freezing the whole goddamn world. Like, I'm just playing the Aurelia cryo build, and I just love cryo shit, so you let me freeze everything, I'm down. Let's rock, Yep. So yeah, just lots more of that. Yeah, that's really the only game that's had my interest. I got other things I want to do, one of which we'll get to later, but I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. Like I said, Rocket League was kind of staring me in the face, like, yo, man, come on. But didn't do that. Yeah, other than that, it's just been, all about them NHL playoffs. Go Flyers. Yeah.
What do we got? 6 more games left?
I think with the one going on right now, we got 6 more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're up 3-1 right now. It looks pretty comfortable, so I'm not too worried about what's happening.
Surging, man.
Yeah, it's been a good second half for the Fly guys, so we'll see if it equals anything in the playoffs or not, though. That and the Final Four, man. Villanova. Let's go, Nova.
That even possible, man?
They've been playing good in the tournament.
Yeah, they have, man.
Playing good at the right time. It's cool, man. It's a small school, like 30,000 students, and they're competing with some of the big boys out there. So
yeah,
you got to love what they're doing over there.
It seems weird though, because it seems like the Philadelphia college sports has been taking all the highlights from the pro teams.
Well,
the
pro teams have been a little bad lately, so we're not even going to get into that because that will be a whole podcast in and of itself.
Of just people crying.
Yeah,
crying and yelling.
Yeah, pretty much a lot of that, and a lot more expletives than normal for this show.
I'm glad I only have one connection, and that was with the Eagles. But I mean, Minnesota's not less depressive. It's just
yeah, dude, Blair Walsh. I swear to God, Minnesota should never kick another football. Like, that should just be a blanket rule in the state of Minnesota that you cannot kick a football. Because all your great travesties seem to be tied to kickers.
Dude, it is. And I was thinking, I'm like, I feel Minnesota sports, each team has a weakness except the Minnesota Lynx, which is the women's basketball team. Their only weakness happens to be that they're a women's basketball team and nobody like every team, like
ouch.
The Vikings, it's kickers. The Twins, it's the Yankees every single year until recently when they just kind of have shit players. And then you have the Timberwolves who, when they were doing well, it was the Lakers. It's like they keep getting good and they keep going to a certain point, and then that weakness pops up. Bam. And then
Yeah.
now the Wild, it's usually the Blackhawks until last year. So hopefully they can switch that up this year. But man, it's been crazy, man.
Yeah, it seems like it, man. Uh, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with your Wild, man. They still got to make the playoffs. They're in a little fight over there.
Well, they're still in the. They still have the wild card spot as of
Yeah,
now, but that loss yesterday to Detroit, it's not good. But it's not killer. But just wasn't a good idea.
yeah.
Just don't want to do that.
Well, hey, you did sweep the season series from Chicago, so
Yes.
not many teams can say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, so let's move along because we got a lot of stuff to cover here for Final Fantasy 15 Uncovered. So,
Yes.
if for some reason you've been like living under a rock or your internet has just been dead for about 4 days, you know, hey, you never know, it could happen. Wednesday night, Square Enix hosted the Final Fantasy 15 Uncovered event, and it was an interesting event because they basically were giving us all the info on the game. But I know going in, I was like, well, what the hell else are they gonna do? Because like
that's it.
I was like, a new trailer, maybe some new gameplay, and a release date. What else could they possibly have to show us? You know.
Mm-hmm.
So they came with a lot, and we're gonna get to all of it. But I'm just curious, what were your thoughts going into the event?
When you told me about it, I thought it was just going to be like, all right, here's some footage from the game. Granted, we already had that from this guy, and then here's the release date, and here's a pre-order, and here's our here's your deluxe edition package. Like that's what I thought they were going to do. So I wasn't really interested in it. And then you came and was like, oh, Chris, they did this, this, and this. I'm like, oh shit. So then I watched the second half. But going into it, I wasn't expecting much. I just thought they're just going to show us the few things that we need to see, you know?
Yeah. Well, they started pretty much in the most perfect fashion I could ever think of, because Hironobu Sakaguchi is up on stage. And, you know, the father of Final Fantasy leaves Square Enix, kind of a messy breakup. And here he is back talking about Final Fantasy 15. Just, I don't know. My thoughts were just how great is it to see him back, you know, like that things are like better now, that they can actually bring him out at a press conference, you know, and that he wants to come back and see it, you know. And he had some positive things to say about the game. He thinks it's heading in the right direction. I don't know what that even really means, to be honest. But I guess it's better than him being like, yo, this game blows and I'm not coming to the event. So I guess there's that. But if he's there, I you know, how much of that is just PR and how much of that is actually the truth, who knows?
Well, think about it. I think after 13, and then the versus 13, and was it 13-2?
Yeah.
Like they
Or no, it was 13-2 Lightning Returns.
That's it. All
yeah,
right.
versus 13 is now 15. So I could see how you could so easily be confused, because that makes so little sense.
No sense whatsoever.
Yeah, that's what we got, Chris.
But I can see a huge improvement from 13 to what they've got going on in 15. So maybe that's where he said the right direction, or maybe he was just being nice. But
well, we'll get more to some of the general stuff on 15 later. We'll cut into the specifics here. One of the things that interests me, though, is like if the relationship has gotten better between Sakaguchi and Square Enix, is there a chance like Mistwalker might do something with like a Final Fantasy spin-off in the future? Could there just be some collaboration, like on, you know, say like Final Fantasy 16? Might they get some input from Sakaguchi on it? Like, I don't know. Like, that would be really cool if they kind of got him back involved a little bit. Or if they just like said, hey, Sakaguchi, you know, you and your Mistwalker guys, write us Final Fantasy blah 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 spin-off game, you know, like not a core series game, but just tell us pitch us your idea of another kind of Final Fantasy game, like kind of like similar to Symphony of the Night, in the sense that was a spin-off from traditional Castlevania games, you know? And then it
Ah,
became super popular. But a lot of what made that game great is that because it wasn't a core game to the series, in the in the normal structure of the series, they were able to do different things and take risks and not have to worry about it. Like a Final Fantasy game like that, probably be pretty cool if he was an influencing person behind
yeah.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll be down with that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Next on the list. Oh, okay. So there was the new trailer, Reclaim Your Throne.
Hmm.
And so did you watch that yet? I don't know
Um,
if you cuz that was I believe pretty early in the conference. I don't know if I think you missed some of the beginning, right?
no, I don't think I saw. I saw a trailer. I think it was the one they showed at the end with the "Stand by Me" cover by Florence and the Machines.
Yeah, okay.
That's the one I saw. That's not the one. That's not the one you're talking about, correct?
I think that is it. Yeah. I know there were a
Okay.
couple different ones, but that was the one I was thinking about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. 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 I liked the trailer. I did. I thought it was. All right. First, I don't know if I'm going to like the story, and I think it's because I'm getting tired of the typical, friendship, justice, JRPG style. But I mean, it's cool. It's cool. I get what they're doing, and I like the party setup they have already. Um, and then the music kind of fits perfectly with that, and how they showed the scenes of not just you destroying giant ass monsters, but they also showed um, the camaraderie between the brothers. Them just sitting around playing games, or them just sitting around a campfire or whatever. I was like, that's nice. I see what they're doing here. But I thought visually amazing.
Yeah.
Like wow.
Yeah,
And
people who say this looks like a PS3 game are fucking insane. I don't know what planet
who
they're
said that?
from. I've actually heard some people attacking it saying, oh, you can tell it's 13 verses or whatever because it looks like PS3. And I'm like, no.
Jeez,
Nothing
what?
about this looks like a PS3 game. Like,
They are ridiculous,
yeah,
man.
the color palette and the lighting effects, this all looks next
The
gen.
lighting and the
Yeah.
shading work so well in there. Um,
Yeah, if
and
you
the
remember,
combat
anything on
great.
PS3 was brown or gray. Like, and those are the only two colors that existed. So,
Oh man, binary color system. um, but yeah, no, it just looked great, and the combat looked awesome. I mean, you've already seen a lot of it from the sky, but seeing that trailer in action, was like seeing the different scenery, the different areas, the different backgrounds that you'll be in. It's nice. It's
yeah,
beautiful.
there were some like story bits in there too, like that gave you some cinematic sense of like some of the story and conflict and whatnot that'll be going on, which gets me more intrigued because that's kind of what I want to know. Like, how's the storytelling in this one gonna go? You know,
Yeah, that's I'm curious about that too.
because that's been lacking a little bit. I mean, I really liked what they did in 13 with the storytelling bits. Like some of the scripting was bad, you know,
Oh,
and the pacing of the game was all kinds of like fucked. But it,
has the scripting
some
in Final Fantasy been that great?
it's been okay. Yeah, it's not. I
I'm
wouldn't
not
say it's.
expecting much.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's otherworldly. There's just a difference, like the. I mean, think about like the difference between like anime, and the way like anime characters like talk and speak, and the way like you know characters would in a similar like Western style.
Yeah,
You know,
yep,
like we look at dialogue in a very different way. We like
yes.
everything has to seem realistic and like something somebody would actually say, and it just seems like with the Japanese fantasy, like they just take it for granted because it's like, well, it's fantasy. It doesn't have to be so realistic. Like it can
Nope.
be, you know, it
Their
can be more
fantasy can
it can
be.
be more pronounced. It can be more exaggerated.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes, but. No, I like that. I like, I liked some of the combat stuff. My son caught a spot where he saw it looked as if you were controlling Ignis, which was
Ah,
interesting because I've been wondering, like, do you ever get to control the other characters? Can you pick who you control? It seemed like it's just Noctis from everything we've seen so far.
Yeah,
I
that's
like the idea if I can kind of just rotate and pick who I want, you know.
that would be really interesting. Granted,
I don't
Noctis
know
is
that there'd be a
main.
great point to doing it because it seems like Noctis has all the badass moves, you know.
Dude.
But I don't know. It opens the door that maybe that is something that's in the game.
Maybe it's
And
just a story element. Like maybe he gets captured, or maybe he suffers like a squall type issue.
that's
It's
true. It could be a story
not
segment.
hard. Yeah.
I'd have to go back and watch the trailer again and actually see the point where it looked like they were controlling him. I didn't go back to watch it. I just took that bit of information and decided to let my imagination wander. So, yeah. Uh, I don't know. I thought it was a pretty decent trailer. What did you think of the choice of Stand By Me?
At first I started laughing like I can't believe they did this. And
Yeah.
then it started making more sense when you started seeing more of like seeing, the gang all together doing like fun stuff and hanging out with each other. I'm like, oh well that makes sense. But
I,
it also seems like a small part of the story. Like the whole thing is friendship, but you realize like the main plot line has to do something with um, Noctis trying to save the kingdom. And I guess he has to use his friends to do it. I don't know. So it seems like a small part, but I guess they're making it a huge part of the story with that song added to it. The cover was great. I give her that.
yeah, I thought it was interesting. I liked it. I felt like it would have been stronger as like a duet. I don't know. It felt like it needed like a male voice to harmonize with in there.
Ah,
And I don't know. I was always like waiting for it to come in, and it never did. The idea of the song seems to fit the theme of like the four bros like hanging out, you know,
yeah.
doing what they got to do. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of wish they had maybe done a little more with the song. I don't know. I also felt like it didn't really have like a strong crescendo. So
Oh no, it does not.
yeah, it's just very flat and even, and I don't
Yep.
know. I thought it would be a little more dramatic than that, you know.
I mean, the original
All
song
in
was.
all, it's not bad though. It's just I don't know things I saw that I was kind of like, hey, we could do that. Like, like, like they just kind of like went for the simple. Like, yeah, we got the license to the song, we got the cover artist, go song done.
Yep.
Like it fits, you know. It just seemed like there was a little more you could do with that. The soundtrack to like everything we're hearing around it so far sounds really good though.
Oh yes, the music for the game. I mean, as always, sounds great. Um, I don't know. I didn't think there was anything wrong with the. I will say that it did kind of. They almost lost me to a point where I almost quit watching the trailer when the song started because it was definitely very slow and very like.
It
And
was a slow lead in, yeah.
yep, and it didn't seem like it fit at that part of this. It was halfway through the video, and all of a sudden they're like, "Bam, slow version of Stand by Me." Hold on, it's like, nah, you lost me. You had me going with the regular Final Fantasy music, and then all of a sudden you just kind of you lost me a little bit. Then it picks up just a little bit enough to keep you watching the rest of it. Um, you know, but the music was great. I thought it was great, and I thought the cover was good too. And I think it makes sense for that story that they're trying to the whole friendship brotherhood that they're trying to keep up. Which I have to ask now: are you only
Okay.
playing as those four characters?
You know, I've kind of wondered about that. And what we were just talking about with Ignis got me thinking about that. Like, will there be other characters? I get the feeling that there will be other characters in this game.
Okay.
Whether or not you're controlling them, or they're part of your party, or they're just guests, like in Final Fantasy 12, I just feel like they're going to be in there somewhere. You know, it's a lot easier to do with this like action battle system to just have another person out there fighting alongside with you. You
Yeah.
know, than it is in the traditional like group-based ATB style that they used to have. So, I don't know. What do you think? You think we'll have other characters?
Well, they showed a few people that looked like important characters in the trailer. Like they gave them like a little bit of time. Um, but I'm not sure if you'll actually be playing as them. That's what I'm curious about. If it's just you playing as those four, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it as much. But at the same time, if it's those four and they all have unique, really fun abilities, then it could definitely be fun. And if the because we still don't know anything about their battle system besides it's it's an active battle system, and it's actually pretty cool looking, I might say. They don't know any of the RPG elements of the game yet. Granted, I haven't played Disguise, so I don't know if they added
Yeah,
any
see,
of that.
you don't have that advantage.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty cool too. I liked it, and they patched in some extra stuff to add a little more depth to it. I liked all the stuff they added in there.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the other thing about that in a minute, but yeah. Okay, so let's see what's next here. Stand by me. Oh, okay. So yeah, they talk about the Brotherhood animated series, and this is gonna
Oh
give
yeah.
this is gonna give us the background on the four bros before the game, and basically how they became friends and all. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, uh, what are your thoughts on that, man?
It sounds pretty cool. As long as there's some action involved. I don't know if I
Well,
want to watch a bro anime,
I
but
would I would assume there's something, right? Like,
yeah, there's got to be some other reason. There's got to be instead of like, hey, we just met, and this is my background story. I want to see it all, like what really got them to become that close of friends because they seem like four oddballs. Like they don't seem like they all mixed together at all. So something must have happened for them to be that close, you know.
yeah,
But I'm interested. I'll still watch it.
yeah. Uh, I was kind of curious about this, right? So if you're going to do this whole thing with this background on these guys before the game starts, does this mean in the early game we'll have a lot less exposition about like, oh, Prompto, my good friend, I remember when we met, blah blah blah. Like, are they just going to assume everybody watched the anime and
I
knows
doubt
the
it.
backstory?
I doubt it.
Are they
Because
go are they going to play it a little bit of both ways, like a little bit of exposition, but not as much as they would have in a previous game, because there's that other backstory if you want to know the rest.
when I'm curious, do they always get new players to play their games?
What do you mean?
Like, or is it just like the same fan base keeps playing the Final Fantasy games every year they come out, but it's a huge fan base, so they don't have to worry about dragging in any new people.
No, I assume that it because the name is Myth. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those like video game royalty names. It's
So
lost some of its luster in recent years, but I think people still come to it like, hey, new Final Fantasy, that's a thing.
yeah, so they
You know,
got their original fan base that continues playing it. But I mean, if they're going to cater to new people, then they're probably going to add that background story. They're going to add that dialogue that hey,
yeah,
hey, you're the guy who did this and this and this. Remember? Ha ha. Like I
yeah.
don't want that, but it's probably going to be there.
I'm gonna be curious to see how that turns out in the final game, how that affects the what kind of story they tell, or if they kind of move the early game along because they don't need to go into so much detail.
True.
I'll be curious to see how it affects the development decisions there.
If
Yeah.
they do go the way you're thinking, right, then they could probably develop more of, let's say, the king and those other like small characters that they added in. Like
Yeah.
you saw in the trailer, you'll see different characters that they kind of focus on that aren't part of the Brotherhood. And so you're like, oh, well, now we could probably get more of a backstory with them
Oh,
instead of going back into like, why are these people friends?
I forgot to tell you, I had a bold prediction for you about the game
All right.
because you were talking about like guest characters, other characters a minute ago.
Yep.
The princess that Noctis is going to marry
Yeah.
will be a guest character in your party.
Oh yeah, of course.
You will fight with her.
Of course.
Yeah. This
Every
is
Final Fantasy does that.
not everyone, but yeah. Okay, maybe it's not as bold based on that criteria. But I think so, because they haven't shown a lot of her, but I think that's how that's going to play out.
Towards the end, I think that's what's going to happen. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Okay. So about Brotherhood, episode 1's out now, man. So yeah, go watch that shit. It's out there for free, guys. Like,
is it on their site?
You know what? I'd have to check because that is on my to-do list for the rest of the weekend is to watch that. And I think it's on YouTube. I'm not 100% certain.
Okay.
You can look it up right now if you want.
I am doing that, actually.
Okay. Yeah, let me know what you find. I thought when I watched the preview trailer for it, it said YouTube, but I could be wrong.
It is on YouTube.
Okay.
Oh, and it's only 12 minutes? Oh, that's perfect.
Nice. That's like, yeah.
It's like my attention span, all perfect.
I was just saying that's about how long it takes me to eat like a decent-sized snack, so.
It's the truth, man. I can't tell you how many times, like, even when I'm eating a meal, like, I'll sit down, eat a meal, and turn on Netflix. And, like, within the first 10, 15 minutes, I'm already done eating. So I'm like, this hour-long show. I'm glad it's interesting.
Yeah, it's like, well, I could use this for my next, like, 3 snacks or meals, you know. Oh, man. All right, so while we're talking about, like, you know, series and filming and such that goes along with the game, they also announced the Kingsglaive full-length feature film.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is based on like Noctis's kingdom and everything that's going on back home while he's off going to meet some broad, you know.
Yep.
No, I shouldn't say that. That's kind of mean. But, you know, that's what it is. So, what are your initial thoughts on this?
Initial, like, oh, cool, another Final Fantasy movie. But then I got the actors who were playing in there, and I'm like, oh, this has got me hyped.
See, does that get you hyped? Because I'm like, I'm torn about that. Because I'm like, I don't really care if you got big name actors to do VO. Like, I would be more, like, they're great people to bring out on stage for an event like Uncovered, but I'd be more excited if you went and got big name voice actors, like people who are like, you know, the big time in that field. You know.
Ah, okay.
Now, these big-time actors could be good voice actors, and then it's all good. But if it's another Peter Dinklage situation from Destiny, then you may just ruin this movie just so you could have some big names to splash around. You know. So
I'm excited because I really like the 3 people that they named. And it also kind of gives you a spoiler. Because Sean Bean plays the king, so you're like, oh, yeah, no, he's dead. King dies. Sean Bean dies and everything.
Maybe it was in his contract that he wouldn't play a character who dies, you know? It could be.
When I saw him in The Martian, I was like, oh, he's on Earth, so there's no way he's dying. Yeah. Okay. All right, we're good here.
It was actually funny because I was watching the behind-the-scenes stuff for Star Wars The Force Awakens last night, and the guy who plays Poe Dameron, you know, one of his big things was like he always dies early in movies. And he kind of said like, look, come on, I'm sick of this. Can I please not die? You know. And they actually rewrote the script for The Force Awakens because he was supposed to die in that initial crash, and instead they brought him back later. So like so they revised that script because of his complaint. So you know, if he could do it, I think Sean Bean could be like, yeah, the king's got to live through this movie, you know.
Just the movie. I don't care what you do after.
That game thing, whatever. They do what you got to do over there, but. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if you have the big name people, even if they're not like the best voice actors, which I can't imagine them not being, you're going to have a solid movie. No. And that's what I think. I mean, Aaron Paul does voice acting. He's done a couple cartoons. He's also on BoJack Horseman. So I mean, he can do the voice acting part. He's not going to have an issue. I think Lena Headey too. Like, oh man,
they pulled names. That's for sure.
And I don't know if they do it for a lot of the stuff, but I know a lot of them are mocap stuff. So I wonder if they'll use them as the mocap.
Yeah, a lot. There's a lot more of that now that people like to do. So,
Yep.
yeah. It. I'm interested. Are they the voices for the characters in the game too? Because some of these characters are going to be in both, right?
No, I
Yeah.
read somewhere that they were just doing the movie.
See, that's going to be a little weird if you like depending. I don't know. I guess it depends. Like how much is like the king in the game? Like you
No,
know.
you're right. You're
It,
100% right though. Like that's going to be odd to have to uh like you just watched the movie and you start playing the game and you realize, oh, these
yeah.
voices
Like
are not the
what
same.
happened to Sean Bean's voice? Like he
Yep.
sounds funny. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Kingsglaive interests me a little more than Brotherhood does because I'm like, all right, well, the dudes become friends, and you know,
It's a
um,
bromance, and I don't think I want
it's
to watch that.
it's cool. I'm not a big anime guy either, so like
Yeah.
generally because they're not really well written, to be honest. I mean, they have very strange structure that's hard for me to swallow a lot of the time.
It there's all right. So when it comes to anime, I like. I'm getting tired of the same like concepts that they keep using. Like they always have this one guy who's like, for justice, gotta do the right thing. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. And they're so stubborn. And it's like, he has heart, so he's gonna prevail. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, get the fuck out of here with that. Like
Well, I don't know.
he
It's
has
like Dragon
heart.
Ball Z. Like they spend more time talking than fighting, you know,
No, no, no.
and a
They
lot of
spend more
time just
time
going.
yelling.
Like,
It's just
yeah.
grunts and yells
Yeah.
the whole time, man. But then there's the
I could
anime.
go find that in a kindergarten if that's what I'm looking for, you know? Like, there's just like, you know, you got a lot of those, like, you know, just, they're kind of closer to animals than humans still, and they're just like, like, yeah. Okay.
Oh man. But yeah,
Anyway.
no, you got those annoying ones, and then you have like the Cowboy Bebops, which have more dialogue and more actual story elements to it, and the scripts are actually nice. Like that's what I'm hoping this bromance will be like, but most likely it's going to be the opposite and
Yeah, well,
be
we'll see. I'm going to watch episode one this weekend and see where it goes. And as far as Kingsglaive, I'm really hoping this one lives up because
the post.
it could be really cool.
Yeah, the
Especially if this
post.
is a lot of stuff you're not going to see in the final version of the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. It's not going to have any of the same stuff.
Yeah,
It's just that small background of it.
yeah, because like in Final Fantasy 12, you had the whole thing with like, you know, the kingdom. They were the tiny kingdom, and you're like off gallivanting adventure, and it's kind of like, well, what's happening back there while you're doing all this shit, you know?
Yeah,
So it'd be kind of cool to see like what is happening back in your kingdom, especially because they seem to be in a real compromised state and under a lot of pressure from this empire. So like, what kind of shit are they dealing with? Well, you're off like dicking around with your four friends riding around in the car, you know. I,
oh man.
just saying, you know.
Do we
Also,
have a release for this yet?
I don't think they gave details on it. I haven't found anything so far. I'm sure we'll get more things will start trickling through as we get closer to the release.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Um, okay, so we got that. Oh, so piggybacking off my last topic, do you think Kingsglaive also could mean less exposition in the game? Now, this time, not so much referring to the beginning of the game like with Brotherhood, but in this case, will they not have to go into as much detail about things because they can cover some of that material with the Kingsglaive movie? Or do you think they still put all the material they feel necessary into the game and not count on people watching that?
Now, this just popped in my head. I think you would personally. I think you would have to separate the three. Like, yes, they're all part of the same universe. Yes, the movie and the series will be leading up to that. But I think you still have to treat them as a separate entity. So you would still have to have the background in it, or you're going to get people who are lost right off the back in the beginning. Like, that's what I think they should do, even though we don't want it. But I think they should definitely do that. Because you're gonna have people who's like, I only want to play the game. I don't want to watch the movie for the game. Like if I want to do that, I'll just watch a movie or those type of people. Um,
Dart, dart, dart. Yeah, I know those
Dart,
kind of
dart.
people.
But like, I think you would have to make them separate. You would still have to add little pieces of that to keep the game fresh for new people who did not watch the trailer or watch the movie or the series. Like, I think you can't you can't skim on that. Probably need to add a little background in there, but not too much. Just has to be enough so then people who did not watch anything just can hop right in and understand what's going on.
Okay. Yeah.
Like a small synopsis, like a boop.
Yeah, I get you. I'll be
Yeah,
curious to see how both of these film endeavors affect the final version of the game. You know, so
because I mean, what you could do is just have like a small. I guess they don't really do scrolling text in Final Fantasy, but you could do a little scrolling thing, um, like a little background before these events happen. And then if there's stuff that's going to pop up from the movies and the series inside the game, then they just happen. And the people who've seen it, they know what it is already. And then maybe just give like a 5 second, like, oh, this is blah, 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 blah. And then continue the game. Like, I don't think it'll be as annoying as some of the other stuff is. But we still were going to get it.
okay, makes sense.
Yeah, you're not going to skim on that.
Um, yeah, okay. I don't know. I don't think I got much else to say about Kingsglaive at this point. I mean, I just kind of want to know, is it coming out the same day as the game? Is it coming out? I guess that one has to come out closer to the game because, like, or maybe even after, because you don't really want to give away key material that goes coinciding with the game. So we might be waiting a while.
I think they said it's before the series. I mean, before the game. So the movie's going to come out before the games for stream and I think Blu-ray. But you're not going to get. I don't think they're going to do it afterwards. They're definitely going to do it beforehand, from what I was reading.
Okay, well, we'll see. The next thing I wanted to bring up, Justice Monsters 5, the mobile game.
Yeah.
So, what were your thoughts on this? They just showed a quick kind of trailer. It looks kind of like pinball, but on steroids. You know.
I think that's exactly the way to describe it.
If you got a better one, I'll take it because I don't know how else to describe it at this point.
That's exactly what it is. It looks cool. I mean, I'm not a huge mobile game fan, but this one looks like something I could play on mobile and not have to worry about controls or anything.
Yeah, well, that's what I like in a mobile game. Simple controls, you know.
Yep. And mobile should be using touchscreen, swipe, touch, double tap, that type of action instead of like, here's your controls, press these buttons. No, I don't want that.
What I do like is the style of this mobile game, right? Because like I always hate the mobile game, and it's like it's the companion game, and it's just like the real experience, and it's like, no, it ain't, no, it ain't, and it just ends up bad. So this is great because it's just kind of a little side thing, It's something they do in the world. Now you can play it, I like that.
Apparently, it's like pinball with role playing elements.
It looks like there might be boss battles in it too,
Yeah.
which would be really cool. Yeah.
I'm interested in that, but we shall see.
Yeah. I guess my only other question about that, do you think it has any tie-in back into the game in any way? Or is this another Fallout Shelter where it's just a experience off on the side there?
That's what I think it is. I think it's more of just a off the side, its own standalone thing that's set it with the characters from that universe. That I don't think it's going to carry on.
Okay.
I think
I don't know what it could do, but or you could maybe get some in-game items or something by having it synced up to your Square account or something.
That's not a bad idea.
I guess we'll see, but
like cosmetic things. I wouldn't say anything that like a new weapon or anything. Just more cosmetic.
I don't know. I don't really see much you could do with that, but there could be something you could do with it. So, yeah. I don't know. Not a ton to say there. Just kind of want to know when that's coming out.
Very true.
Okay. So the next thing. This was the one that maybe surprised me the most out of all of them. the Platinum demo.
Yes.
So we're playing around Noctis's childhood fantasy / dream / I don't know what the hell it is.
Yep.
What do you think about this?
I think it's brilliant. Because instead of playing through another episode where you're learning about the story or anything, you are playing as his childhood, learning the elements of the game, like all the elements of the game, all the features, without having any of the story spoiled.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I mean, it keeps people interested. It's kind of a tease to people, hey, the game's coming out. You can play another demo to get keep it fresh, so nobody forgets Since After Dusk Guy or anything. It looks cool. Like they're unlocking all the features you can use without ruining the story, and I think that's a perfect idea for a demo.
Well, I think the thing that I like the most about it is because they're doing like this childhood fantasy thing, you can just do whatever the hell you want. It's not real. Like, you're no longer grounded by the rules of reality. Like, you could just create this, like, cool little playground and just be like, yeah, whatever. Like, because the constraints of reality have been removed now. So I have it downloaded. It's on the PS4. It was yelling at me all day yesterday, like, please play me. And I was like, sorry, Star Wars priorities, but it's there. And, episode 1 of Brotherhood and that are like tops on my agenda to get done once we're done the show today. So, well, Villanova, then those two things. One is on a real schedule. The other two will be there for me when I'm ready. So, yeah. But I'm really curious to see what they did with it. You got an Iron Giant battle. Totally down with that,
Yep.
My daughter is in love with Carbuncle. She thinks it's the cutest little thing in the world, So, I kind of want to just see all the stuff. That my curiosity is less with like where it goes and more like with, well, what stuff did you give me to play with? Like, are there weapons? I know there's a spell. Do I get different kinds of spells? Is it just the one spell to play with? Are there any summons? It's like you gave me this shop, the keys to the shop. So now I'm like, well, what tools did you leave lying around for me to play with,
Yep.
So that'll be cool, but I have not checked it out yet, so I can't speak too much to it right now. But I was shocked. I really did not think they were coming with a second demo for this game. So.
Yeah, I didn't think they would. I don't think any game would actually do something like that.
Yeah. All right, so that leads us to the special editions of the game, right? All right, so the deluxe edition.
Beautiful case. Beautiful artwork.
$90, right? You get the Kingsglaive Blu-ray. You get a steelbook case and a few DLC items. So the game is $60. Is $30 worth it to you for Kingsglaive and some DLC items and a steelbook?
Yeah. Movie's probably $15 itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that. The game is $60. The movie is about $15. And then you get that steel case. I'd say it's worth it.
I hate steelbooks because if I'm gonna buy a physical copy of a game, it totally ruins the uniformity of all the games in the shelf.
OCD.
The DLC items, I'm take them or leave them because they're usually like early game items that are good for like an hour or two and then quickly bypassed by anything else. Or they're just customization items, which always usually means that you can buy them later. So you could buy them for $2-3 instead of having to buy an entire $90 set to get them. So to me, that's iffy value. If you like steelbooks and you're going to get the movie anyway, probably not a bad way to do it. Just get it all in one package.
Yeah.
Now the Ultimate Edition. This is the one you got to hire movers to get it into your house. The price tag on this one, Chris, $270.
That's ridiculous.
You get all the deluxe edition content. Plus, you get a soundtrack that has music from the game, Brotherhood, and Kingsglaive. You get the Brotherhood Blu-ray with an exclusive episode 6. So,
Ah.
you get the art book, you get the Noctis statue, and you get DLC items, and you get another set of DLC items beyond what the deluxe edition had.
Okay.
So, when you add all that up, is that of sufficient value to you?
No.
I can't call it good value either. This seems like a absolutely horrible value proposition right here.
Yep.
270 bucks for a soundtrack I probably won't care about.
Yep.
The exclusive episode 6 is the one thing that makes this really interesting. You know, that's eventually going to get leaked to the internet anyway, so that in itself is not worth it, but it is the most intriguing item in this package. An art book that I will look at once and never probably look at ever again. A Noctis statue that I could care less about because it's going to take up more space in my house that I don't have. And more DLC items that I already told you just don't justify these kind of purchases. So if you ask me, it's just a bunch of clutter. And, you know, if you're a collector, this is awesome. Go for it. Because this is exactly the kind of thing you live for, is these kind of packages. But I look at it, I'm like, all that shit is not worth $200.
No.
Like,
No,
if you tried to sell me that stuff for $200, I'd laugh in your face. The fact that they've thrown in a game everybody's anxious for, you know, is the only thing that I think could confuse some people into wanting it. And I went into Square Enix store that night because I was like, how much is this thing? I might want it. You know, it was a money situation, you know. And as soon as I got in there and saw 270, I was like, I'm out. I don't want it. You know. And then I went back an hour later to see if they still had them out of curiosity, and they were waiting list. Yeah. And I was like, well, I could have had one, but I did not want it. Not at that price. I was like, I'll just buy the regular version of the game, $60, because that's the thing I want. You know.
It's just ridiculous, man.
I don't know. I don't know what else they could have added that would entice me to buy. But they didn't need me. They got all 30,000 of them sold fast enough. Only took them like an hour, so good on them. I wish I could find 30,000 suckers to buy something for me. You know.
At $270.
Chris, we got to do an Ultimate Collector's Edition of the Collective Games Cast.
There it is.
We'll do like episodes 1 to 25. You know, we'll get a steelbook case because that's what people want.
We'll make our own soundtrack. That's right.
We'll get a statue, you know. But you don't know which one you get. Maybe you get the Malgadar. Maybe you get Chris. Like, you don't know which one comes in the box. You know. So now it's like, you know, chasing. You got to buy multiple packs of the Ultimate Collectors and to try to get the other statue. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Here comes the money, Chris. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was disappointed with those, but I know there's people who are going to just eat that shit up, so they don't need me to buy it.
Nope.
I'll just take the game and be done with it. Digital, no clutter, loving it, you know.
It's insane, man.
All right, so that leads us to the release date, man.
Yep.
So they had us for a minute thinking it was November 30th, 2016, for like about a second and a half. And I was a little depressed. I was like, November's so far away. And then they flipped it on us, and it was September 30th, 2016. And I was like, yeah, that's a lot better. You know, and a couple minutes later, I realized, well, that's still a long way away, too. They just kind of tricked me into thinking it was closer than it was, you know. They played with my perception of time, you know. 6 months is still great, though. I mean, this is Fallout 4 all over again, you know.
Yep.
So, what do you think about September, man?
That's a good time for it. I mean, there's only a few games that actually come out around then. And it's before the Christmas rush where everyone's like, release our games, November, December, go, 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 go. I think it's a good time, you know? This is, this was when Metal Gear came out, and,
well, that was early September.
Yeah, and there was nothing else that came out.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen them get all the way up to that time frame if they could have, because that's when you get to kind of be the first fall game.
Yeah.
I got to look at the calendar and see like what releases are coming out around then, though. You know, maybe there's not much coming, but once you get you're right. Remember, you're like a day away from October, you know.
Yep.
So once October hits, you start getting bigger games dropping,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So there's no Ass Creed this year though, so that helps, you know.
Ass Creed.
Yeah. That's just like shorthand for Assassin's Creed, man.
Oh man, it took me a minute. It took me a minute.
Ass Creed. It's gonna be a thing.
Oh man.
Yeah. Um Yeah, I don't know. I guess September 30th works though. You know,
Yeah.
we'll see how the calendar lines up. I have not looked at the fall release schedule because it's like just a giant tease. So I don't
Gives
want to
me
be
time to
thinking.
get
Yeah.
gives me time to get a PS4.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to ask you, man, because you're still behind the curve on that.
Still behind the curve.
PC
man.
gaming, Master Race, like, come on, man.
Yeah, until they don't release the games that I want to play. God, it's so annoying.
I play for both teams, man. Like, I'm down with the PC and the PS4.
So annoyed, man.
Well,
Also, we can see if the Xbox One improves at all. Because it comes out Xbox One.
yeah, they've been very multi-plat since the last generation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is true.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I dig it though. It's good enough. I'm glad it's this year. Like it's finally coming. You know, God forbid if there's a delay, but I don't think you would go through all this stuff and end up with a delay.
Yeah, I don't think you would do that.
Yeah.
Backlash.
Okay. So conclusions of the Uncovered event. You know, if you ask me, the biggest takeaway I had was this is the treatment that the Final Fantasy series has deserved for a long time and has never gotten. You know, like it feels like Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy 13, and the other games that came along with that series just felt like game releases. You know,
They did. I didn't even know they were coming out until like a month or two in advance. I see like posters at a GameStop. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, like
There's another one?
what I like about this though is like Final Fantasy 15 now feels like it's going to be an event. Like this is something you're going to want to be part of. Like, you know, it's a big deal. And I like that they're getting that, you know. And that is coming together. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I just think I'm glad that there was a lot more to it than just like, here's our release date, here's the different editions you can get, and there.
Yeah, I was surprised. There was a lot of stuff there. I mean, Square is going all in with this. Like, this isn't just the game. This is like a big Final Fantasy launch event. You know what I mean? Like the Brotherhood animated series, the movie, you know, the mobile game. Like, they are all in for Final Fantasy 15 and that this thing matters, you know? And I like that. Like, it's about damn time Final Fantasy got treated the way it should. Like, this is one of the titans of the industry. It should be treated as such.
Very true.
Yeah.
It's about time Square got their shit together with the game release.
I think they're turning the ship, man, but it takes a little while, you know? I think we saw with the FF7 remake announcement, you know, and this, like, and like the way they're really handling 15 and it seems like they're treating it right and they're getting it together. You know, they've taken this like wrecked, like seemingly abandoned project and they're actually turning it around and making it something. So I feel like they're starting to get things moving in the right direction, you know. And I also get this sense that if this is what I hope it is, this will be the moment we look back on and we think like, this is when Final Fantasy got turned around, you know?
Yeah, this is true.
Like, we'll look at Lightning Returns as the low point when everything got screwed up, you know? And that's not a complete attack on Lightning Returns, right? Because if a smaller developer like Trendy put out Lightning Returns and it was just reskinned to different stuff, we'd probably be like, hey, that's a really good game. You should probably check that out, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
But you slap Final Fantasy on there, and the expectations go way higher than what that delivered, you know?
It's a good point.
I don't know. I just feel like this could be a big moment in the series, you know? Unless the game isn't good. And then all this other shit doesn't matter. Kingsglaive doesn't matter. Brotherhood doesn't matter. This whole uncovered event doesn't even matter. Like, because it's all just, icing with no cake. Which everybody thinks they want until they start eating icing with no cake, and then you realize it doesn't work.
It's good.
Yeah.
Isn't as good.
Yeah. So I guess any final thoughts on Final Fantasy 15 and the Uncovered event, and just in general?
I'm hoping it's not a large bromance. I hope there's more characters. That's it. That's all I have for the game. It looks good, regardless. But I'm just hoping that the story has more depth in it, which is normal for Final Fantasy games. But I really hope the bromance isn't heavy-handed.
Yeah. I don't think it is. I think it's a road trip,
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think this Uncovered reveal and everything, that was great. I'm like, this is, like you said, this is what Final Fantasy needed. And then they added more to it. It wasn't just like, here's our game, guys.
Yeah.
No, here's some footage. Oh, you've already seen it before? Oh, okay.
The things that interest me going forward are, one, is this what Final Fantasy launches are going to be like from now on?
I hope so.
Like, is it dependent on this game's sales? Like, if it doesn't sell well, will they not do this again? Or are they kind of committed, like, this is our thing, regardless of how the game does. Like, this is how we want to do it now.
You know what's crazy, though? The thought that this game is only 3 years in the making. This
10.
Wasn't a... No.
I know. This game has one of the weirder development stories.
Very true.
You know what would have probably made me more interested in that Ultimate Collector's Edition? If you would have thrown in a behind-the-scenes making-of documentary. Because that's the shit I want to know. Like, what the hell was happening?
I got they were going to do it versus 13, like you said, right?
Yeah.
And then they scrapped that project, and that's when they started developing this. So they already had like a battle system. They already had, they didn't have the story, I don't think, but they had the battle system. They had all that going, and a new engine for the new systems, because this was supposed to be developed for PS3.
Well, I mean, in a lot of ways, this is like Final Hearts, like, because they just kind of ripped like the guts of the Kingdom Hearts battle system and brought it over.
Yep, and
as you know, I boycott Kingdom Hearts with strong hammer, man. Like, fuck that game.
I did not know that.
I hate that series.
I think you're the only one.
I was all in on the first one, man, and I started playing it, and I was like, this is absolute garbage. I will not play this crap.
I hate Kingdom Hearts, man.
I'm sorry, man. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And I was so excited, too, because I always wanted, like, a Final Fantasy game where, like, somehow all the characters got caught in the same world,
Yeah.
Like, so you could have, like, these things, like, with, like, Cloud and Squall meeting up and, like, Garland and, like, Seifer, like, working together, and it just... Nope.
Throwing a Vivi in there just for...
Sora's a lame hero. Goofy and Donald suck ass. Like, it just... what a garbage waste of talent and time. Yeah.
That's what happens when Disney helps you out with stuff, man.
Hey, Dad.
There are characters in there.
I'm not gonna throw Disney under the bus for this one. I'm just gonna blame Square for bothering to get involved. Make good games, not kid games.
Oh man.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So, the other thing I'm wondering, though, about this, getting back to the Uncovered event, is this going to be a new thing other, like, publishers are going to jump on? Like, like, if you can't see this for Call of Duty, like, especially... Because usually the big thing is usually E3, right?
Yep.
But now that they're pulling out of E3, like, are they just going to have their own event for when they're ready to talk about the game? Like,
I hope so. I would rather have that and just live stream it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, in the world of video games, there are certain franchises that have enough clout to just be like, you come to us, because we got something to show you,
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody can pull that. But I'm just curious now if the big name franchises are going to start stealing off this, you know? Like Fallout could have done their own thing last year, and they kind of did, but it was synced right in there with E3. So it
Yeah.
wasn't really like their own thing. Like this was just in the middle of the calendar. Like, hey, tonight's our night, and we're talking about our game, and there's nothing else happening around us really, you know?
I hope so for games that actually matter. Like I wouldn't want to see one for Assassin's Creed. Actually, maybe for the next one because they've taken a year off.
Yeah.
But like you're gonna like a Halo one was probably what happened. But I wouldn't want that. Um,
Well,
like
Halo
that's
6 will be the end of this trilogy that I don't care for, you know?
like maybe they do it for games that have a longer time. Like Rockstar could do it for their with the Red Dead when it comes out, and or they
Yeah.
could go next GTA when they
But
do
they
that.
don't do anything. They're just like, yeah, we got a game, buy it. And they're just like, okay, Rockstar, we go buy your game.
That's
Like,
how it is,
you know.
man. And it's never bad though. And when they do it that way, they're not forced to rush something. Like we need to rush a demo, guys. Let's show people what we got. It's like no,
I guess, but I don't know. They got to do something with Grand Theft Auto. That series is getting really stale.
I think. Well, yeah. You can't. It's not much you can really do with that.
I just didn't care for 5 at all. Like I drove around the city, learned the map a bit, and then I was kind of like, all right, I'm out. Like there's nothing new. It's the same old game.
I think
Like,
it's their online that's what's keeping them stable.
yeah. Oh, people are just stupid and just buy things because of the name on the box. Like, you know, I bought it because of the name on the box. I thought it was going to be high quality, and then I played it, and I was like, this is the same game I've been playing since '03.
It got that way. It did get that way. And
Yeah,
he tried
so-
to add where you play as 3 different people. I didn't really appreciate that. I want them to go back to the San Andreas style. That game was perfect.
Yeah, well,
Like that, it'd be great. Maybe try a different city next time. Like,
yeah, I don't know. It Los Santos and Liberty City are maybe getting a little played out.
you probably when they do a next one, it will be Vice City. So you got that going for you. But like,
Yeah.
they gotta find something new to really spice it up. Yeah. I was on to something, but I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well, I think that's good enough for this week. My voice is going somewhere on me. I don't know where. It's got plans that don't involve me apparently. So yeah. But yeah, this has been the Collective Games Cast, episode 29, our Final Fantasy 15 Uncovered breakdown. As always, you can find us every week on twitch.tv/the_Malgadar. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher.
Whoa!
Yeah, I'm like combining Twitch and Stitcher there, man. It's like a whole new service. Yeah, but just search for Collective Games Cast. And as always, you can find us on Twitter at the Collective GC. I'm on Twitter at the Malgadar. Chris is on Twitter. He's at ChrisBCGC. You see him right over there. And I guess until next week, that's it, man. Say bye to everybody, Chris.
Goodbye, everybody. Chris.
Smart ass.